William Shatner finds his way into the news cycle every so often, and it isn't always for a good thing. And this time, it's mostly because he's pretty upset. After all, why wasn't he a part of the Star Trek remake? Okay, so since he was one of the biggest stars of Star Trek the original series, and the first actor to portray Captain James T. Kirk, his legacy is huge. You would have wondered why he wasn't in the movies J.J. Abrams rebooted in 2009. I mean, Leonard Nimoy was, right? Yeah, his role was pretty small, and according to Abrams, that was the problem itself. If you guys remember, Shatner's character died on screen in Star Trek Generations. This marked a symbolic passing of the torch from Captain Kirk to Captain Jean-Luc Picard. And yeah, this was despite the fact that Star Trek The Next Generation had already run for 7 seasons, so canonically, Kirk was pretty dead. So you might be wondering how the OG Captain Kirk would have returned in flashbacks. Interestingly enough, a scene was actually written for Shatner, but Abrams said that Shatner didn't want to be in a cameo. Yep, the issue was that the role was too small, and William Shatner wanted a bigger role in the reboot. Look, the man built up the Star Trek franchise to where it is today, and that's a fact. Even Abrams admitted that Shatner deserved more of the movie focus that he wanted, but said he also knew there would have been major backlash from fans, especially since the super loyal ones wanted the reboot to stay true to canon. But here's the thing, it didn't end up going that way anyway. Like, hello, Spock and Khan? So they could have brought Shatner back in a creative way, much like they did Nimoy. The movie could have focused more on Shatner's character, and maybe even Nimoy's, and fans would eat that stuff up, that's for sure. But the fact is, this wasn't the kind of movie Abrams wanted to make. Since the 2009 film was a reboot, he just threw out the old. He discarded a lot of the canon that was established in the original series and started almost entirely fresh. But the question remains, if he was willing to ignore some canon, why would he have had a problem with bringing Shatner's Kirk back? And there are so many ways to do it too, especially for Abrams. After all, the man created Alias, a sci-fi type of spy show where people died and returned to life or were replaced by lookalike characters. And you're trying to tell me that he and his team couldn't figure out how to bring Captain Kirk back from the dead? Yeah, well, I just don't believe it. But maybe it's for the best that the old cast members aren't coming back, especially since George Takei had some harsh words for co-star Shatner. The beef between the two isn't new. Star Trek actor George Takei responded to William Shatner's criticism of him. His comments on the matter are said to be the ultimate shot in a decades-long bad blood between the two. We'll see how true that was in a minute. This feud is surprising, considering how the science fiction franchise covers multiple TV series, movies, games, and merchandising, and it all kicked off with the iconic Star Trek series in the 1960s. The franchise can now be called a cultural icon, ranking high in the list of sci-fi shows set in the 23rd century, which is a surprisingly long list.
Of the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Your ongoing mission? To explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go.
Anyway, coming back to the weird beef, it got even worse after Takei made an appearance on The Graham Norton Show. The star who played Enterprise helmsman Hikaru Sulu in the original science fiction series spoke out again against former co-star and rival Shatner. This comes once again after Shatner made some comments about Takei, this time during an interview with The Times. He really went all out on his former castmates and said that whatever they say against him is just for publicity. Of course, this was before he zeroed in on Takei specifically. He said, quote, "George has never stopped blackening my name. These people are bitter and embittered. I've run out of patience with them. Why give credence to people consumed by envy and hate?" Yikes. Of course, Takei couldn't stay silent on the matter either. The 85-year-old had his comeback ready in an interview with The Graham Norton Show. Now, while he was there to promote his upcoming musical Allegiance, Takei couldn't help dismissing Shatner's claims. He thought that Shatner just wanted the free publicity, and gained it by accusing his former castmates of using him. What's more, he even said, quote, "He's a cantankerous old man, and I will not talk talk about him anymore. I vow that this is the very last time I talk about him. Oh, come on. Can we all just please get along? This supposedly marked the last time the two engaged in a verbal war, but we all know it was just a matter of time. George Takei has already broken his vow. A little over a month ago, the star made the surprising declaration that he wouldn't publicly discuss his feud with his former Star Trek co-star anymore. After a short period of silence, Takei has already broken his vow by dissing Shatner and his very publicized spaceflight. So, like a lot of you folks on the internet, he weighed in about William Shatner's flight with Jeff Bezos. To absolutely no one's surprise, Takei picked apart Shatner's spaceflight and said that he might actually have more experience in one specific element of the experience than the former Star Trek star did. Yep, he believed that he had been in zero gravity for longer than his long-term rival. I'm not surprised that Takei didn't miss an opportunity to take a shot at William Shatner, and this isn't the first time he's done it about spaceflight. Even in 2021, the OG Sulu said that Shatner was a, quote, unfit character for spaceflight. After making the remark, George Takei was asked about why there was such a decades-long feud with Shatner. I mean, everyone wants to know at this point. Well, Takei denied he had any animosity, but shared his views on Shatner without directly referring to his former Star Trek co-star by name. He said there's no animosity between the cast, just one dude, and we can all guess who that is. What's more, the actor said that Shatner wasn't the easiest guy to work with, and he even said it was something the whole cast agreed with. Turns out, George Takei isn't the first person to have issue with William Shatner. Even actor Will Wheaton mentioned an unpleasant encounter he had with the actor while working on The Next Generation. We all know Shatner has sometimes caused a stir with his bold takes on the franchise, especially his belief that the modern shows would have creator Gene Roddenberry turning in his grave. Obviously, some actors associated with those shows don't take kindly to the harsh criticism. For his part, Shatner has always fired back at Takei's criticism, as he's done in years past, so I wouldn't be surprised if he responds to this latest comment in the coming weeks. One thing's for certain, the two are probably never going to appear in their own upcoming Trek series together. That would be really funny though. While cast members of the original Star Trek series seem unable to reconcile, no need to worry. The cast of Star Trek The Next Generation recently came together for one more adventure in Picard Season 3. That's all from me on this decades-old rivalry, and while you didn't see Shatner in the reboot. See you next time.